Hey everyone, welcome to TORQ Live. I'm Aaron Shimmons and this is
Ricky Wynn.
Thanks for joining us. And look, we're in the Campervan. We are on Dartmoor. We've got 50k in the morning, so we're doing it in person. We're not normally on the one screen, so there's a little bit of getting used to this for us. But thanks for joining us. We have a absolutely packed show today, so once again, thanks for joining us. Trail Talk Live every Friday night, 7 p.m. London time and all the other times around the world. Catch up on Saturday mornings on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all the normal podcast players. The camera's sitting a little bit back from us, so we can't see any questions that are coming in too clearly, but thankfully you have submitted a lot of hot stuff via Instagram question box, and we're going to get to that after we run through some of the news. But before we get underway with that, thanks to our sponsors, xmiles.co.uk. Head on over to link in bio, get the discount from Iron Over Mountains discount code. It kicks us a few quid, helps us buy cameras, get Ricky a plane ticket over to do Dartmoor, you know, all of this good stuff that helps us have a bit of banter. But Ricky, how are you feeling? Dartmoor's tomorrow. We're going to get into some race questions and stuff later, but how was the trip over?
Yeah, trip over was good. A little bit windy on the plane over, but since we got here, it's been wet. It has been wet. The drive down has been good, been great crack. But I know that the weather gods are going to be on our side, and tomorrow's going to be a good day, and it's going to make for some good running. Fingers crossed.
This guy is apparently the weather god. He only races in good weather. I tend to only race in bad weather, not by request. It just seems to happen. But the weather forecast for tomorrow has been looking sunny for Saturday all week, and every day either side of it is wet, and it's stuck like that all week. So
I'm taking the credit. I very rarely get really bad weather in races. It's just what happens. It knows I'm Irish. It knows that I'm out in the piss and rain every day of the week, and it knows, give him a break. Just give him a break.
360 days a year, it's piss and rain. We'll let him have some sun for the racing.
100%.
Let's crack on with the news. Busy show. Normally the show runs for 30 minutes, but we're definitely running over that today because we have a billion questions to get through. Way more than what we can. So we've taken a selection of stuff about running, stuff about life, stuff about the race, stuff about gear, some funny shit in there as well. So stick with us and we'll get to that. First off, Tarawera last weekend. We're coming in with quick hot takes. Mine are Dan Jones, fast as fuck. Really solid, quick, 3:20 or something. Absolute flying time. What could he have done if he was pushed? Other takeaway for me was Caitlin Felder, 6 minutes behind Ruth Croft, who is one of the best, right at the top of the pile. What about you? What did you think?
Yeah, for me, obviously Dan Jones, seriously impressive. Didn't even look like he came out of second gear. Like, was in complete control and complete cruise control. When I mean control, he was just out there doing what he does best. Incredibly in that kind of shape, and make it look that easy this time of the year. You know, it's going to be a massive year for him. But second takeaway was the race for like 4th, 5th and 6th place in the women's race was insane. I think they were like in around that 9, 10, 48, 9, 10, 13, 9, 10, 10. Like within seconds of each other. Like ridiculous racing from start to finish, you know, incredible scenes. Like, you know, trail running, especially on the women's side, is on the up and the up and the up all the time. They're getting so fast. Like,
yeah, and I think we had like a verbal agreement that you might be going to Tarawera next year, because I might be going too.
Yeah, okay, look, while we're live,
not on the spot, not on the spot.
While we're live, my
I'm
wife
putting you
could
on the
be
spot.
listening, so just you know, just keep that on the wraps for a minute, hey.
Right, next thing is the Jackpot 100 USATF 100-mile World Championship event. Raj set a blistering time in a shoe, what is it, 43, 45, 48?
48.
48.
Man, yeah.
He set the time in a clown shoe, and it's illegal. So what do you think of this? Very unfortunate.
Yeah, hugely unfortunate. And there's a lot of people in the comments saying that the record should stand, the results should stand. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble and be the guy to say, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. Look, we all have to carry mandatory gear in these races. You know, every one of us have to do. We have to do it tomorrow. There's things you have to do and there's things you can and you can't do. And any athlete that's been given a pair of shoes should know that, you know, if it's over 40 mil, he can't race in that because it's an illegal shoe. So, unfortunately, it's the right result. He took it like a champ. He did. In fairness, on his Instagram, he had a post up there a few days ago, and he took it like a champ. So, you know, massive kudos to him for doing that. But it was the right result. You can't race in that shoe. It's illegal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He dealt with it the right way. But also, like, how the fuck did he not know, or someone on his crew know, or a representative he dealt with at Hoka know? I think maybe it was a last minute shoe choice as well, so that's, you know, last minute choice, mistakes were made.
So if any are doing a race in the Skyward X and you win it, it's not going to stand. That's all I'm telling you. Great shoe, but it's not going to stand.
And we're still proud of you. Either way.
Yeah.
Next one, we got Ricky. We are 8 minutes into the show. We gotta fly through the news because the questions are fire. Chucking up 50k, Patagonia and another sponsor putting up a few quid, 3k, $1,000 prize money. Not a lot of money. It's only a 50k, but still, it's on the right trajectory. It's good to see.
It's always good to see. Look, that's what's going to bring better runners, better racers to these races. As in, once the prize money goes up, the standard of runners that are going to enter that race. It's the same in local races and big races. Athletes need to get prize money to drive themselves forward. So yeah, it's only a good thing. Only a good thing.
And friend of the show, I think we can say that, Francesco Pupi. He's now friend of the show officially. He holds the course record from that race this time last year, and we know that he would have liked the three grand. But it's a beautiful segue straight into Transgran Canaria, which is happening right now. And he's just won the marathon-ish distance. What is it, 46, 47, just over the marathon?
Yeah, in a ridiculous sprint finish. I think he just pipped second place, you know, over the last couple of 100 meters. So incredible racing again, once again from Francesco, just after signing a new deal with Hoka. What a way to start his new sponsorship.
Hoka, man.
Yeah, what a way to start it though.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, brilliant. On that race, we've only picked the classic in the Fantasy Free Trail Trail Talk League, so that's what we're going to focus on. I want your hot takes. I'm going to give you a couple of mine. John Albon, without a question, he's going to win it, and Tom Evans decided not to race purely because John Albon is so good.
yeah. You know, we talked about this earlier, that I reckon, like, the standard of British runners is getting better and better all the time. And, like, I actually was thinking, if Tom Evans was running in this race tomorrow, that you could have 4 Brits in the top 5, you know, because you've got, I think, for me, right, I'm going to say it out now because we have to run through it, right, but I'm going to say that John Albon for the win. I'm going to say that Tom Jolie is probably going to finish 3rd on the podium, and I'm nearly going to say Josh Wade could finish 2nd in this race. Yeah.
Oh, hot. Right, okay. I don't have too much more to add on this other than I definitely think Josh Wade he's in my picks. I think he's going to have a good race. I like the vibe. I like the form. It's like, I mean, how good would it look if Josh Wade was on the podium with the hair? It's like fucking Liam Gallagher in ultra running. I love it.
Yeah, and rocking up on the stage with his Oasis. Yeah.
Right.
Super genuine guy, super good guy, super humble, and I'd love to see him get a really big result in a big race like Transgran.
Yeah, totally. Link in bio to the WhatsApp group. Go into the race chat. Go in and get the link to the Fantasy Free Trail. What do you call it? The league.
The league, yeah.
Get your picks in. The race hasn't started yet. You can still participate, and it'll be a bit of banter. Next up, friend, not just friend of the show, Gav Hannigan, the true Irish adventurer of our time, is off to start the Iditarod 1,000 mile, dragging do they call it a puck?
Yeah.
The little thing that they pull behind them on the snow and the ice. He's starting that on Sunday. Doing it for a great cause. His mother was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's. I know we don't normally do like charity things for our running because we run so much, but like Gavin has done it all. Absolute great guy, great cause. He's a previous Iditarod runner or winner. He's so like we're rooting for Gav again. In the WhatsApp we'll be sticking a link so we can track him because it's 1,000 miles. Like, think how much work you can skip just by following that tracker of Hannigan.
Yeah, definitely. So super excited for Gav because he'd be going. Look, he's a previous winner, but he just missed out, I think, on the course record as well. So he's definitely going back for that. But look, any of us that know anything about ultra running or any kind of endurance event, we do hit the panic button when we hear, oh my god, I have 80k to go, or I have 70k to go, or I have 100k to go, or whatever. This man is going 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles, and I think that puck that he's dragging along in the snow weighs 27 kilo. I weigh 52 kilo. Like, come on. How in the name of God can anyone pull that behind him? But if anyone can, Gav can. He's an animal.
How can you weigh 52 kilos?
That's what I weigh. 53 kilo. I weigh 53 kilo.
You're not a kilo over 45 and a half. Right. Damien Hall has just signed with Normal, and yeah, in his typical style, stuck out a post and a nicer tone than the Green Runners kind of stuff. But I kind of like that connection. I think it's a great partnership, but I kind of at conflict because Damien Hall I did not take as a full kit wanker. I can't imagine him in fully kitted out in normal stuff. Can you?
But you're missing a trick. You're missing a trick because it's Damien Hall. It's hand-me-downs. It's Killian's hand-me-downs. That way it's reuse. It's use and reuse. So I think second-hand normal gear and Damien Hall fits perfect. Perfect.
Good take. I did look on a Strava the other day, and the MF is running about in the normal brute, in the Sherrock brute. You know, the soft ground. Oh my God, I'm jealous. Right, last thing on the news before we move into the hot topic questions. Just a simple one. The Hemmings plus Rachel Drake have signed with Precision Hydration in their rise to being like the dominant force in race nutrition. So, I mean, it's not very interesting, but they are becoming like the TORQ of the nutrition world. They're everywhere and their branding's very visible, so you see all the athletes that are using it. Winners at Tarawera, winners at Black Canyon. I mean, fucking, it's everywhere. So, like, good job for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there is a lot of athletes running around at the minute on NAC, but I actually think that, like, definitely Precision are winning that battle of signing all the top athletes. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, NAC have like pinned their colours to the UTMB flag, and that has worked great for them. And Precision have found a way to be relevant and be really in the picture, and not tied themselves to a series or a championship, which again is also a TORQ playbook move. So I kind of like that. But look, questions are done. The news is over. What you're here for is about to happen. And first off, we got to talk about, I mean, the main thing here. This is Ricky's first Trail Talk Live as a professional, sponsored, elite runner. Ricky, congratulations.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. Appreciate it. Yeah.
So we've got a few questions on this. Let me just bring it in. What can you tell us behind the scenes about the sponsorship deal? We know that no one's ever allowed to talk about anything, but we want all of the dirt. Put your name on the line here. Like, we want you to walk the tightrope. Let us know what you can let us know.
unfortunately,
don't get in trouble though.
yeah, but like unfortunately, that's the way it works. Like you sign an agreement, you sign an NDA, you sign a contract, and there's not a lot you can talk about. You know what I mean? So you can't talk about anything to do with your financial gain or your anything like that. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is, and I can't talk about anything like that. You know, which is what I can and can't do.
We need to know, are you going to be upgrading from the tent?
I'll definitely be upgrading from the tent. Yeah. So like if there's training camps going on, I'll definitely be at training camp. So if there's a UTMB training camp over in Chamonix this year, I'll hopefully be over there. If there's something happen over in California when I'm over for Western States, I'll be jumping in on that as well. Yeah. Now, mind you, I absolutely love the tent. I love the tent. You know, I actually prefer the tent than I do my own bed. So just, you know, that's the kind of crackpot you're dealing with. You know.
Some of the other stuff, like I note some of the questions I can just about see with my poor eyesight on the screen. We do have questions on that. We need to know, are you hanging up the hammer and the nail belt? I mean, is Ricky getting off the roof?
Hey, look, I'll be definitely able to do a lot more running and a lot less working, but at the same time, the way I look at it is like work has got me here. You know, work, hard graft, all of that good stuff has put me and my body in a position to be able to do this sport at this level. So I'm definitely not going to be giving it up anytime soon. It's another tool in the arsenal.
Okay, all right. That's it on the Hoka front, on the sponsorship front. You didn't give too much away. I should have maybe squeezed you a bit more. Moving on. How many times will Ricky get lost on Instagram or on the race tomorrow? I put up a poll on Instagram and like I haven't checked it in hours, but I was saying to Ricky this morning 75 people thought he was going to get lost and still win. So we're hitting big numbers on that poll, and I'm guessing that is that's probably where I'm siding too. Like that's where I voted. A few haters actually said you were just going to get lost. I think. I mean, I also think a percentage of times people, whenever they click something like that, it's like a mispress,
yeah,
or your computer says no or something. So, how do you feel about it?
To be honest with you, like I feel like that. Yeah, okay, everyone thinks that I get lost a lot, which I probably do, right? But I do like the fact that you all think that I can regroup and maybe come out with the win. But look, I really, really, really hope I don't make any big mistakes tomorrow. There is no way markers, there is no route as such, so I definitely will be keeping a much closer eye on the GPX file and the GPS on my watch tomorrow. So, fingers crossed.
Tell people the new strategy.
The new strategy, I was half thinking of wearing two watches, so I was. Because I was going to use one of them just for pace and one of them just for GPS, so I wouldn't be scrolling from one to the other. But I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to go all out and use the maps.
I have told them, Ricky, commit to the map. The only way navigation ever works is if you believe in it. You have to trust it, and you can't trust it if you're looking at your pace. So use the map on your watch and go by RPE, right?
Yeah.
We're changing the input to get a different output. Right. Next question. Which shoes are you wearing tomorrow?
I'm wearing the Tecton X3. So I'm going with Tecton X3. They're my favourite shoe. They're the best shoe that I've ever put in my feet. So I'll definitely be using them. Ideally, I'd probably want something with a bit more lug on it for this kind of ground, because I think it's going to be a bit boggy, a bit swampy. But I still think that the Tecton X3 is the best shoe for the job.
Right. Okay.
You?
I was fully committed on the Norda 005. But I put quite a lot of miles in it in the last couple of weeks in Sydney, and I've wore down some of the kind of midfoot lugs, and this is going to be quite a boggy, wet course, and I don't think it's going to give me the grip for like open mountain essentially. So I've reverted to the Prodigio Pro for this race, which will be kind of almost like a test for the shoe as well. I do think the Prodigio Pro maybe holds a bit of water, holds a bit of heat. Not quite sure about its breathability, but I just couldn't go with, you know, a worn down lug for this race. I've already got like I don't know, 250, 260k in the Nordas, and the Prodigio's just have, I don't know, 20, 30k at max. So
You reckon the Prodigio Pro it'll drain water well? I reckon this course you will need a shoe that drains water well.
I don't think it'll drain water well, but I think it's got better grip, and I had to decide on grip because I think that's probably more important. Right, we gotta keep it moving here. So next question we have is, how do you approach racing? Carb loading, gear, mindset. What do we got? Give us it hot.
For the, let's say for the, a carb load week, we'd say, like, people think that, oh yeah, you need to carb load by hammering in a big bowl of pasta the night before a race, but that's not really how you do it. Like, we'd say I've been just upping my, so every day I eat the same thing every day. I eat chili and rice every day. Chili and rice. I bring wraps to work, right? So this week at work I've been bringing an extra wrap to work, and I've been eating extra rice at my dinner, you know. So just slightly introducing more carbs throughout the week, you know. And again, I'll be having a bowl of pasta tonight before the race, just to boost the carbs again. Wake up tomorrow morning, I have a couple of bread rolls and an oat bar. Again, just fast acting carbohydrates. Get them into the body. I'm not going to feel bloated. I'm not going to feel full, but yet those carbohydrates are going to act really, really fast. And then for the race itself, I'm going to be using NAC gels and NAC drink mix. And I'll be aiming to hit about 60 to 70 grams of carbohydrates an hour every hour. And then that's it. Let's hope that that's the magic sauce tomorrow, and it gets the job done.
And we have a very early start, so we're up at 5, or we've got a coach at 5:30 to the start, because we then run back to the finish where we're parked right now. So it's kind of a weird time to be eating, but like as you said, like, you don't do anything different in race week. If anything, what you do in your race week is what you've been planning for every week. So the only thing I do is have a bit more carbs. So 3 nights this week I had pasta instead of maybe 1 or 2. And then I'll just do porridge in the morning. I always do porridge if it's a long run day, and I've got a banana for the bus. And then I'm going to try and hit 90 grams an hour of TORQ gels during the race, but I haven't been training 90 since the injury and stuff. I've only actually been hitting like 40 in training because I haven't felt like I deserved the calories of the carbs, which I know is like a totally stupid thing to say, but I'm just saying how it is. So yeah, I might end up having to junk some of that stuff, but you just got to play it by ear. Do what the stomach allows you to do, and hopefully it works out. Are
you aiming to drink most of your calories, or are you consuming it through gels and drink mix? Like, which is a bigger source of carbohydrates for you?
I'm starting out with 1 bottle with drink mix, 1 bottle with water, and then I've got another bottle with drink mix in it that I'll put water in at an aid station. So it's mostly all gel and just like 60 grams from fluids.
Yeah.
Because there's only 2 aid stations in the race, so we can't really tie our hydration to our nutrition as well when it's like that. So, like, moving on, what is your worst race experience and why?
That's a good one. Yeah, my worst race experience. Like, I've had a couple of DNFs. I had a couple of DNFs in the Kerryway Ultra, and DNFs are horrible. They suck. But the great thing about DNFs is, if you're hungry enough, you'll get back on the horse and it'll motivate you to do better things. So I don't always look at a DNF like it's a really bad thing. Okay, in the moment it is, you know, but I try and get over that as quick as possible, get back on the horse and sign up for another race and go again, you know. Like, I try not to dwell on bad things too often, you know what I mean? If you're thinking about all the bad things instead of the things that are positive and the things that make you look forward, you're wasting energy, I think. So I'm always thinking, what's next? How can we improve? And what do we do?
So Kerryway Ultra, why was it bad?
Just I went into it the first year with an injury, you know, and it was like, it didn't work out for me because I had something wrong with my knee at the time. And I just pushed and pushed and pushed, and then the knee just gave out. And I think the following year was sort of another little injury, but also just really, really bad fueling, you know. And at the same time, I wasn't doing this as long as what, you know what I mean. I was only doing it for a couple of years. I was still only learning. I was making so many mistakes, and I just didn't really know how to take on calories the way that I know how to take them on now. But again, you learn so much from making these mistakes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And
yours?
it was, we were talking about this on the drive down. Like, the Carryway Ultra was actually my worst race experience too. I've only had one DNF through anything that wasn't weather related, as in a race stoppage or whatever. So I went into that race. I just overcooked it. I stayed in Kerry for, I don't know, a month before the race. I recce'd all of the course. I was saying to you, I did like a 50k of the last section, most of the last section, a week out from the race, or like 6 days out from the race. It was like, why would anyone ever do that? It was so stupid. But you know, sometimes you try to overcompensate for race nerves with more running.
Yeah.
Because we know how to do that, and we just like do more running, and we find comfort in that. But then when it comes to the race, you're more cooked. And I ended up having a calf issue, and like, it was just excruciating, and I thought it was doing damage, so I pulled the plug. And my takeaway from that was, never have your wife crew you, because my wife had never crewed me before, and that was the first race she crewed me, and just by her being there gave me the idea that, well, this isn't working, and there's the car.
Yeah, yeah.
So if that wasn't an option, would I have just walked on? Would the injury have cleared? Would the muscle have give up spasming and just go, he's not quitting, let's just get back at it? But I'll never know.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I drag this one out, but I do think of that like a long run. I often think of that as like when you go for a long run and you're on your own, there's nobody there to help you, and if things don't go your way and you feel crap and all you want to do is stop, you have to say to yourself, yeah, well, I'm halfway. I have to get back to the car. So the only way I'm going to get back to the car is if I actually keep going. And sometimes you have to trick your brain into telling you that on race day as well. Because in races, sometimes it's too easy to drop. It's too easy because you can just quit, and somebody will come and pick you up and bring you back to the start line. Whereas if you're out in a long run, you've got to get there on your own. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't quit. Definitely don't quit on first thought, and don't have your wife crew.
Yeah.
So there's the takeaways.
Don't have your wife crew if they're not used to crewing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would say my wife crews me, and I'd say if Sarah crews you now, she'd know a lot more. You know, so she definitely then would be telling you, Aaron, you're not getting into the car. Get the hell on with it. You know what I mean?
But the car's still there. Like, we got to move on. All right. Again, last question on the race. Race goals. Like, what are the goals for this race? And what, like, fast forward to Sunday, what position do you want to be in, like, mentally?
For me, look, I always want to do my best. You know what I mean? I always think that there's no point doing something unless you're going to do your best at it. So obviously for me, I want to try and win the race. I want to try and get as close as I can to that course record that was there. But you never know who's going to turn up on the day. There could be some very, very fast people turning up. I have no idea who we're racing against tomorrow. So I don't know until I start racing tomorrow. But one thing for sure, I'm going to do my best. But at the same time, it's only February. It's first race of the year. There's no point blowing the complete doors off and then not being able to train next week and next week, because there's bigger fish to fry at the end of the day as well. This is the first race of the year to see where I'm at, and that's how I'm aiming that. But look, of course I'm going to go for the win. That's always going to happen. You, what are your goals?
This time last year, we were doing something very similar. We weren't doing an Instagram Live, but we were creating a lot of reels. We were in Tunisia for 50k, and you were winning that race by, I mean, it was actually more than a mile, because a mile might have been like 6 minutes on that course. You were winning that race by about 5 miles.
4 or 5, yeah.
So we're going into this race, both of us with a year's more experience, regardless of where we were this time last year. We're going into this race more experienced with more learnings. And for me, like, this is, like, as you said, this is a training race. This is like a season opener. Like, test the legs, see where you're at. And it's important to do those things through a training block. And my ultimate goal for the first half of the year is Ultra Trail Australia on the 17th of May. So on Sunday, I want to be feeling like I don't have a sore quad, I don't have a sore foot after my PRP surgery, and I can just continue to train next week. If I look at my beautiful Strava graph trajectory, this week with a finish will be 10k more than last week. So the graph continues and we continue to build it. Like, I'm coming from 0 running to now at probably 13 hours a week. So look, we just want to build and keep the party going, right?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And you asked, what are we looking forward to on Sunday? I'm looking forward to eating all the nice things and all the treats, and I do think like that as well. People think that, oh, you wouldn't eat this and you wouldn't eat that. I've been eyeing up vegan treats and vegan this, that and the other for what I'll be having after the race, so I'm looking forward to that. And Aaron's going to be cooking up some pasta after this as well, so I'm looking forward to that too.
Well, tomorrow after the race, I'm going to see if I can get you drunk on 2 pints. We're in Devon. I don't know what we drink down here. Some ale. You can get a vegan Cornish pasty.
Yeah.
That's all suitable, right? Moving on. We've got loads to do here. This is a section of gear and innovation and stuff like this. And this was an interesting question. I like this question. Is there a piece of kit that you'd like to invent and that doesn't yet exist?
See, I thought about this long and hard, and like, for me, I don't know what. Maybe something like, you're talking about a guy who thinks that the best thing to do in a race is to wear 2 watches. So I'm not the inventor guy. I reckon that you would love this question, and I reckon you've got a really good answer for this. Whereas mine is like, if you invent it, Aaron, I'll wear it. I think that's how I go about doing it.
Don't put my answer yet to come on a pedestal, because it mightn't be very good. Like, I'm not really the person that wants to reinvent the wheel and create extra things. I don't like things for the sake of things. But I wanted to do one shout out, and that's like, I've been a naked belt user forever, like years. And recently we did the group order for the Raid belt, Raid Research 2-litre belt, and I didn't think you could get better than naked, but I think Raid have raised the bar there. And if I was thinking about like what would I have wanted to bring to market, it would have been some sort of evolution of the naked belt. And like, honestly, to improve on the Raid belt, I think you probably need to go more minimal. Like, maybe there's a halfway house there of like one that maybe doesn't store just as much but has the same like locking mechanism, because it's the lock that makes that special.
Yeah,
it's not the capacity. We're not like going, oh, that stores so much. We're like, that fit is class.
Yeah, like I'm sure, like most people, like, I've tried and tested so many waist belts, so many of them, and that Raid belt, just the fit is so good. Like, it's so good. There's so much structure to it. And when you put it on, you think that, oh no, that doesn't fit, it's going to be too tight. But then all of a sudden it just clicks, and it works both ways. Like, you can wear it, I know there's a certain way you can wear it. You can wear it like with the back has a much bigger side on it, more storage in the back, and it's got like loops for the poles. But I actually like wearing that on the front, and I feel like then I have more access to more stuff at the front, and I can leave my phone in the back, stuff like that. But there's no bounce. It's metadynema. It's like incredibly strong, incredibly supportive as well. It almost feels like it's supporting you and keeping your core tight and keeping your back up in line and everything.
A little bit like a weight belt.
Yeah,
totally.
Without discomfort, like, because some of those waist belts, if they get full of stuff and you've been wearing them for a while, you almost feel like you're getting like a stomach issue with them because they're uncomfortable after a while. But so far with this one, I think it's the best waist belt I've ever tried.
I agree. Moving on, we are 37 minutes into the show. We've still got a lot of questions to go, but I think we're going well here, right?
Yeah, going well, flying through it.
Trail Talk Live every Friday, special edition from the Campervan before the Dartmoor 50k. If you have to split because it's Friday night somewhere, it's Friday night here, you can catch up tomorrow on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. Goes live at 7 a.m. That's whenever it gets republished, so head on over there. Also, like, I think we would love some reviews. Like, go and leave us a rating on Apple and Spotify. That would help us because we're here for the banter, and if you're watching this, you're probably here for the banter too. So give us some reviews for the banter. Next question. What do you think is going to be the next big breakthrough invention in trail running? You know, what I've got a good one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah,
I go first.
You go.
So, we're going to reference the GOAT here, the greatest of all time, Kilian Jornet. Who was it put up a post? Zach Bitter put up a post on X, and he was talking about, he's a low carb guy or strategic carb guy when it comes to training. And the thread was good, but Kilian pitched in and said that he felt that the next breakthrough is going to be mental game. Like if you think about the, your internal governor and overriding that, they say that is what limits performance. And the GOAT, he thinks that that's where the next breakthrough is going to come from. So I love that one, and I kind of we're not going to fast forward 2 years and be going, we're having 250 grams of carb an hour. We're tapping out at that at some point.
Yeah, but like on how does he intend on, or what is his strategy in getting to that position? You know, where that you get over that mental block. Like what's?
Well, it could be like some technology that works by tapping in to like electrical pulses that can override a sensor in the brain. So these types of treatments or like third-party things that we're connecting on to ourselves, like we've got the continuous glucose monitors and all of these types of things. So something that connects to
something that overrides and turns into a robot, basically.
A little bit more of a robot, basically, because that's going to make us push a bit harder. So you heard it here first in person. Kilian is coming up with some sort of brainwave technology that's going to change the game.
Yeah, like for me, I think like nutrition has been key, you know what I mean, over the last few years, and it's been shown that like lads are banging out 120, 140 grams of carbohydrates, and now you have bicarb, you have Morton doing the bicarb, you have another company called Bicarb doing it as well. Like, again, these are all things that are getting marginal gains, so I always think that there's somebody pushing those boundaries, and somebody's going to click something else where those marginal gains become bigger and bigger and bigger. But then it's like how close do you get to like banned substances? What is something like WADA going to do and stuff like that? So it's stuff like that is tricky. I think going, where does it end? Like, where does it end, this performance level? Like,
they're not going to be able to. There is a point in future when they will not be able to keep up with the mechanisms to cheat. Like, you only have to look at the ability, which is very much on the fringe of gene therapy, that you can do yourself. Like, if you want to biohack to that level, you could hack your own genes to turn off, like to turn on extra protein synthesis or something to create more muscle, or some like these weird things that are totally on the fringe.
So you're telling me I could be 5'6"?
You could.
Wow.
It's possible. You have to find the gene that's about. It mightn't work out for you. Like your power might be in the compact size.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on. New section, and we'll just we'll group a couple of these together. how did you get into ultras, and what do you wish you knew before you ran your first 100k or longer?
Yeah, like I've told the story a few times, I suppose. I got into ultra running because I quit playing football, played football my entire life, and then I got into OCR races because they were huge at the time. So that obstacle course races, like Tough Mudder and the Toughest, and those kind of races. I got into them, really enjoyed them, thought they were brilliant, won a load of them in Ireland, and then went over and did one in Nottingham where it was the Toughest Mudder, and it was a 12-hour endurance event. And me and my younger brother did it, and we ran around this loop for like 12 hours, and we finished like 10th and 11th out of like 3,000 people. And you'd think that, oh yeah, I was going to like, oh wow, are we going to do this? Like, is this our new thing now? And like, what we got out of it was the fact that we were on our feet moving for 12 hours. And I was like, is this a thing? Like, is this actually a thing? Can I do something? And then, then within a week, I found out about Anton Kopicka on YouTube, and that's it, man. I've never looked back. So it was the fact that we did that 12-hour endurance event, and then I found Anton Kopicka, and that's how I got into ultra running, man.
That's a good one. Yeah.
You?
I think mine, like, I used to hike with my dog. Thinking back to Trooper, my little Jack Russell, I used to hike in the mountains, and I didn't know that there was a such thing as mountain running. I didn't know about fell running, and we're going back like 25, 26, 27 years ago, and I saw a couple of guys, and they were running down the side of this mountain, like UK and Ireland. It's not right. You're not on a trail. You're just like open mountain. They're not covered in trees, so you can see somebody running down a mountain. And I saw these two guys running down. It was a Thursday evening or something. It was a weekday evening, and I was like, "What the hell are they doing? That looks class."
Yeah.
And then you Googled or whatever it was and looked into it, and I found out it was fell running. And I pitched up to a fell race, but it took me 2 years from then, maybe even 3. Before I got the courage to turn up to a race, because you had to, like, fell running, it was very minimal. You had to navigate, and when I was hiking, I always got lost. But I got lost because my kind of mindset on a region is like, these are the mountains that are close to me. I want to know every corner of it, and the best way to learn it is to just go and experience it. So I know you've seen my heat map for the Mourne Mountains.
Yeah.
I know that place. So it took me a while to pitch up for a race, but when I did, I was queuing up to pay for this race £3 in the back of somebody's boot. A couple of guys said to me, "Oh, where do you live? Our club trains on a Thursday night, 7 o'clock, come and join us." And that was me, joined the fell running club, and from there I met people who were doing UTMB. I remember a guy, Long Distance Fred. Then he was in his 60s, he had done UTMB, he had done all of the big 100-milers that you could think of, and it was just inspirational. But I learned from those people, and then my personality was I just gravitate to whatever's the hardest thing. So I found out about fell running rounds as a fell runner, so I was like, oh, that's longer and harder and more extreme, and I just went from there. So like my first ultra was, there we go, my first ultra was like 50k 50 miler, but then I went straight into the fell running rounds and kind of stayed in that circuit for many years, used it as my training and stuff. I think I'm good.
Yeah, that we'll get into it later, because that what you said there will answer a lot of questions that we've got actually coming up.
Well, we got to crack on because we're 45 minutes in, and we don't want to take all Friday night for you guys and for us, because we've got to make our dinner and we've got a race in the morning. Next question: what's the hardest part of maintaining a successful training plan with a busy life? Putting up solar panels, hitting nails on the head, like hard graft. What's the hardest part?
The hardest part is like I don't know, like I have a full-time job. I have I want to run like 120, 130, 140 kilometers a week, and And like to maintain that, it's hard. It is, and it is a struggle. And I've got a wife, and you've got to be there for her as well. And like you well know this, but it's all about like how bad do you want it? Like I always say that to myself. It's like, Ricky, how bad do you want it? You know, because if you want it bad enough, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to put the time in, no matter what time of the day it is. When you get a window to train, you've got to train. You know, and that's always been my mentality. It's like, okay, it's not ideal. I missed a run here, I missed a run there, I'll get it in now, I'll get it in then. You just make it work. You have to make it work. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's like I always say, just keep showing up, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Like, very same question to you, because, like, you're out the gap busy as well.
I don't think it's the same. Like, I don't have a physically demanding job. Like, I do this stuff full time and work in kind of the trail running, ultra running media space full time. So I'm also at a different stage in my career. You know, I've been doing this full time for a couple of years, going into the third year. Prior to that, I had an IT company in Ireland, so I did that for 20 years. So yeah, it's totally different. But like one thing that I do remember from the 9 to 5 was I always had to train first.
Yeah.
Do the training first. Like get up out in the morning and get that done. Because once I had to prioritise the training, otherwise it was harder to do.
That's a funny one. For me, it's like, I can't do that. I can't do that for two reasons. I can't do that because I can't run early in the morning because I've got to go to work. And if I run early in the morning, I have no energy to actually do the job that somebody's paying me to do, right? But then the other side of that is, if I go run in the morning, that, let's say, feel-good feeling that I get from doing the thing that I love, which is running, right? And that's the reason I do it. It's because I love running, right? I love training. I love racing. I love it. But would say if I was to go for that run and then go to work, by 10:30 in the morning, I would have forgot that I went for that run. And that feel-good factor would be long gone. And I won't get that back until the following evening, or the following morning. Whereas I like to finish work, hop in the shower, warm up, put on me running clothes, get out the door, and then I get that feel-good factor. So that when I do go to bed that night, I feel good that I got my run in. And I'm like, Ricky, you're in good shape now. Keep it going.
That's a great example that it's different methods and ways for different people. Like that's a great way for you to reset after a hard day's graft.
Yeah.
Whereas someone with a desk job, like they can go, like I'm thinking about Lionel here in the Trail Talk community, who's a network systems administrator, and he'll go into work on a Monday morning wrecked from his back-to-back long runs, but he's alright because he's sitting at the desk working at the computer using his arms and his hands while his legs are just lying there dead and limp and recovering. But you have to find a different way to do that.
Yeah, but again, you always trick yourself. Like I always tell myself that I'll finish this race. We'll do this race, and I'll be in the bin on tomorrow evening. I'll probably be in the bin on Sunday as well. And then I've got to go back to work. And I know, yeah, I've signed a professional contract, but I told you I can't just give up my job. So I'm going to go back to work on Monday. And in my head, I will tell myself that this is active recovery. You know, that there's nothing better I could be doing than actually being up on this roof, because I'm moving, I'm stretching, and I'm recovering. You know, so there's perks to everything. There's pros and cons to everything. And yes, sometimes my job has me wrecked and tired, but it also has me strong and fit. So, you know, you look at it in the best light possible. That's the way I do it.
Yeah, well said. We're coming into the final part of the show. This is Trail Talk Live. Instagram every Friday night. Catch up on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all of the usual players. Go and also support our sponsor, xmiles.co.uk, where you get all your race nutrition, all of the good stuff, all of the things you need, the gels, all of the brands as well, which is absolutely great. Kicks us a few quid so that we can, it helps us do this.
Link in bio.
Link in bio, yeah, that's where the links are. They're always in the bio. Why can they not make an easier place than link in bio?
Yeah.
Like, don't go to the bio yet. Stay where you are, because we got some more questions. But Ricky, we're gonna have to skip some of these.
Okay.
We can do another one another day.
Yeah.
But we need to skip on to some of these other questions. Otherwise, we're just not gonna get to some of the more interesting, juicy ones, let's say, we had loads of people asking, how did we meet? Right? So what was the question I met? How did you two meet, and what's your best? No. Yeah. How did we meet, essentially?
Yeah, we talked about this long.
We had to double check.
Yeah, because like we know each other now, and things have been moving so fast, and we were trying like, how did we actually first meet? You know, and when Aaron was talking about how he got into ultra running and into trail running itself, and he was talking about the rounds, that's when I found you first. That's when I noticed you first, because you were doing the Dennis Rankin round. Am I right? Dennis Rankin round, yeah. And you were doing that round, and at the time I was very interested in that round, just as a cool thing to see, like, you know. And I saw your content up on Instagram, geez, I don't know how many years ago that is now, but I thought that was super cool. And then all of a sudden I saw you were doing Kerry Way, and you ended up doing Kerry Way Ultra the same year as I did it. And I was here, you were injured, I was injured, but we both got to know each other, a few messages over and back through that. But again, it was all through the love of trail running. But again, I was looking at Aaron, because I was looking at his Strava, and I was trying to find out who I'd be racing against in Kerry, and you were banging out some serious mileage that eventually got you injured.
I was overtraining.
Yeah, but like I was like going, who's this dude? And my God, this guy's going to go well, so I need to be on it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I got to know you over the years.
Well, I was training to run 200k, and I think because people had maybe known my name in Ireland, because I'd already run a 200 miler.
Yeah.
As well. So, and I'd done well in that race. So
the Bigfoot.
Yeah. So like, he's going to run a 200k. He'd probably be pretty good at that. But I mean, we'll never know.
Yeah. We'll have to go back. Like an anniversary or something.
Well, let's just like be very clear. It wouldn't have been that quick. not Ricky quick. But yeah, it would have been nice to complete the loop. Anything else on that? No. The first time we met in person was actually at the registration for that 2020 race.
Yeah,
2020.
2020 COVID year. Yeah.
And then since then we just like caught up every year in Chamonix at the UTMB, because you know that's what the Irish people do. We get together and I know.
Yeah, that's
have
it.
a cup of coffee, have a group run, whatever.
Yeah. We just run around with Irish flags. That's all we do.
We're in green. We're in green. Right, next question. Have you always been a runner?
No. I was always, like we'd say, I was a footballer, and I ran to keep fit for football. You know, the reason that I was so fit, let's say, the reason that I'm that what stands to me now, I think, is my footballing days, because again, 5'2", very, very small. I was always that kind of guy that thought, if I'm standing still, I ain't getting the ball, so I need to be fitter than everybody else on the team. So I used to train a lot more than the other lads on the team. So if they were training twice a week, I was training 4 or 5 times a week. I was probably running like 60k a week when I didn't really know what I was doing, if you know what I mean. So that's how I got into running, and then a couple of 5Ks and the odd 10K or something like that, and that was it. So no, I definitely wasn't always a runner, but I was always running for football and stuff like that.
Did you have any idea on like what your pace was when you were running as a footballer?
No, not really. I don't think I was even using a watch. Do you know what I mean? When I was there was a loop that I was doing. It was probably like a 7 kilometer or 7 mile loop. I can't even remember what distance it was, but it was around 7 miles maybe of a loop. And I used to just run that because it's football. Football is go hard or go home, right? That's the way you're taught. Like, so it'd be flat out. I'd be running flat out, but I would have no idea if I was a good runner or if I wasn't, because at the end of the day I was only training to make sure that the guy that was marking me collapsed. That was the idea.
Outwork him.
Yeah, outwork him. Yeah.
All right, that's good. From my perspective, I think my first race was 2010, and that was, you know, the Mornway Marathon events.
Yeah.
That was always like a very popular race in the north of Ireland. So I ran just me and a friend every year for about 3 years. Whenever we knew nothing, like we weren't runners. We didn't think we were runners, But you were doing that race, so you might run a couple of times a week because you knew you were doing this half.
Yeah.
So I did like the Mornway half, couple of years, did the Causeway Coast half, and then did the Causeway Coast
too.
Marathon. And that was all like 2010, 2011, 2012. And then I was also a hiker in those years too. And it was then 2013 was the first year that I joined that fell running club.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're running a long time. You're running a long time, like, you know.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm oldish too. So, right, back to racing. More currently now, what's your 50k PR, and how does that factor into tomorrow's race?
My 50k PR is a bit of a cheat because it was like on forest trails, so it was pretty fast runnable. You know, it was that kind of terrain. And I think I ran a 3:17 for the 50k.
Ouch!
Yeah,
Jesus,
and that was back. I think I was only running 2 years at the time, like so. So like that was kind of my breakthrough race where I kind of realized, you know what, I think I'm okay at this, like, you know. So yeah, that was it. And then, yeah, so that was probably it. But again, that'll factor into tomorrow, like, because, look, that was a course record. It still is a course record from whatever years ago. And then I got the hunger to kind of go, oh, well, sometimes you turn up to a race and you mightn't have the best race because you're a few minutes ahead of somebody or a few minutes behind somebody. But I always think that if I can go for the course record, I'm going to go for the course record because it's just nice. I think there's something nice about that. Like,
I have no idea.
Yeah, a lot. Like, honestly, for me, it's like, and it's not a oh, I'm great at this or I'm great at that. It's like if people talk about PRs or what's your PB in the 5k, what's your PB in the 10k. I don't really care, like, because trail running is different. Every race is different. You know, if you have a PB in a 10k on one trail, does not mean that you're automatically going to get that on the next trail because difference in elevation, difference in everything. So I always base myself off that CR. If I can get close to that CR, then I know that I'm in good shape.
Yeah, and for this race tomorrow, what's the course record?
4:55 is what I can find, and that was from last year. It was a French guy that ran it last year.
Yeah, and for the viewers, the metrics for the race is it's about 49k, and we think 1250 meters of gain. So just to give it some perspective, but like I'm not racing it for no course records. I don't even have a fast 50k PR. Like my PR I set last year at that race in Tunisia, which was a 50k with 1,000 meters of vert, and what did I run? 4:57.
Yeah.
I thought that was quick at the time. I mean, I'm not going to run that tomorrow. There's a bit more vert. It's definitely slower ground here tomorrow. Like that race in Tunisia last year, it was hard packed in places. Yeah, it was a little bit mucky as well. It's technical sections, but I think all of this is going to be moist.
Yeah.
We're going to have sections that might have a little quicker sections, but that's as best that we can hope for.
Yeah, and like I've been training stuff similar to what's here, you know, and then I train in another place that has much faster running in it. And there was 2 weekends where I did a 40k and a 30k. The 40k was on the runnable stuff, and the 30k was on the, let's say, the bog, the swamp. That's pretty similar to what's here. And there wasn't a whole pile in the difference of those two runs, and there was 10k in the difference, if you know what I mean. Time-wise, the 40k or the 40k and the 30k, there wasn't much between it because the 30k was that hard, like. So I'm expecting the ground to be hard and to be wet and to be energy zapping, and that's going to eat into the legs.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Ricky, we've hit an hour on the show. I think we should call time. We have to make dinner. We have to get the kit out and pack the bags for the morning. Early start. Pick a question, and that'll be our closing question. We've got a good selection. While Ricky's picking them here, this is Trail Talk Live every Friday. Ricky, what you got?
What are your most poignant failures that have ultimately made you a better runner?
Oh, you motherfucker. Well, I didn't even read that question whenever
It's a deep question, right?
Who submitted that one? Right, what's my most point? Well, you know, I had 2 consecutive failures in 2016 and 2017 at a 100-miler in Andorra. 170k, 13,500 meters of gain. The hardest mountain race in the world, apparently. No longer in existence. The company went bust through COVID. They called it the European Hard Rocker. It was called Ronda del Sims. And like, I just felt like I had a takeaway from that race that I trained really hard out of the fear of that race, the fear of the unknown. And the Pyrenees, for people, what people don't know, the Pyrenees is harder running than the Alps. Like, it's the hardest mountain range in Europe for sure. And I spent a year training for that race, and then it just got taken out of... the rug got pulled out from under me after 32 hours. And 32 hours, by the way, was only 110k. And at the time, the course record for this race was 10 hours more than UTMB.
Wow.
When UTMB was 160 something and 10-ish kilometers of vert. And then the following year, I was like, I have to go back. Like, that was taken away from me. I need to go and finish this race. And I trained harder. I went into it more prepared. And the exact same fucking thing happened. But this time it happened at 138 kilometers into the race. 38 hours in. And another storm hit. And I had to hide all of the gear. And honestly, from that takeaway was... the first year the race was stopped because of this bad weather, but honestly I was in no shape to continue because it was so cold with this storm. So the next year I'd went better prepared with even better gear, like the harder jackets, like the really good storm gear, and still it wasn't enough. So like my takeaway from that was never do a race twice.
Yeah. I remember, but you were going really well in that race as well, though. And then the weather gods. You could have done with me on your side, because I am the weather god.
What did I tell you about me and rain?
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, it was again go back to like the likes of Kerry, and when you do fail at something like that, it can hurt. Like it can hurt, and you think about things and you think about what other people think of you, and it can bring you down, you know. And when I was younger and a little, like, I don't know, maybe not as confident, maybe not as sure of what I am like today, and like, yeah, it hurt a lot, and you feel like you want to quit running, or you feel you want to give up, but it's all part of it, you know. We all have bad days, we all have good days, but it's what you can do. If you can pick yourself up, you can get back into training, and you can just get on with it, move on to the next thing, and you will make mistakes, and I'll make mistakes, and you'll make mistakes, and we'll keep making them, and the best runners in the world will make them, but it's what you learn from them and how you can move forward and attack the next race and the next race and the next race, and that's all you can do.
You only learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
You learn from the mistakes, and if you don't make mistakes, you're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna happen eventually, and when they happen, you need to learn from them.
Yeah, and like, you will hear of someone talk about the perfect race. Believe me, it's very hard to have the perfect race, especially in ultra running. Like, you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows, and you might have a good result or a bad result, but you will never have a perfect race where everything goes super, super smooth. You know, there'll always be a few hiccups. You always make a few mistakes that you could have done better, and you could have. But that's the coolest thing about this sport, and we'll go after this, right? But the coolest thing about this sport is that if you get excited about those mistakes that you made and how you can fix them, that's when you know that this is the sport you were meant to be doing, that you just have such a grow for it, such a love for it, you know what I mean, and it's the best sport in the world. It's part of
the appeal,
yeah.
Like the problem solving, and that's why, like, the longer the event, the draw of the longer event, the lure of the 100-miler, because the problems are more like critical.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the problems tomorrow, I mean, there's easy ways to get out of them.
Yeah.
The problems at 3,000 meters, 140k into a race in a thunderstorm. It's different.
Totally different, yeah. And even that's where, like, we'd say people would be talking about me and you or whatever. We're so different in things, because like, I'm kind of known for my pace, and I blitz through some races like that. But the thoughts have been out on a 100-mile course. I haven't done that many 100-milers. Like, I think I've only done Kerry Way, and then the closest I got to another 100-miler was TDS. But I've never been in a situation where I have to been out for 35 or 40 or 38 hours. Like, that's a different mentality, a different strength, a different experience. It's totally different. Like, that is the cream of the crop for ultra running. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for this special Trail Talk Live from the camper. Good luck to you tomorrow.
Good luck to you tomorrow.
And everyone, have a great weekend. Enjoy following Transgran Canaria. I will stick a link up to follow our trackers, because I mean, it's only a short window of tracking for us, but you can follow us, and we'll give you an update tomorrow after the race. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.